S. Chan presents educational video lectures as per the new UGC curriculum. Difficult concepts made easy. Study anywhere, anytime.
In a vibrant town, a pink city called Jaipur, Ravi owned a small textile shop. One day, he ordered a batch of fabric from a supplier, but upon delivery, he discovered that it was of poor quality. It means the fabric which he ordered from the supplier, it was of poor quality. Frustrated Ravi sought an advice from his friend Priya, who was studying this particular subject which is known as business regulatory framework, which is also known as business law. Priya explained Ravi how he could rely on the Sale of Goods Act to seek a refund or replacement. Let me highlight here, that is the Sale of Goods Act to seek a refund or replacement. So encouraged by her guidance, Ravi approached the supplier armed with his newfound knowledge. So impressed by Ravi's understanding of his rights, the supplier promptly agreed to a refund. Please make a note of it. The supplier promptly agreed to a refund. This particular thing, this experience highlighted the importance of business law in protecting entrepreneurs and consumers alike.
If you want to study this topic in detail, refer to the book by S. Chan Publishing and Vikas Publishing House. Link is provided in the description box.
So let's begin. My name is Mohit Kapil and I'm here to teach you a business regulatory framework. Okay, so let us talk about the term business regulatory framework first. Let me tell you, business regulatory framework is also known as business law or mercantile law. So let us understand the term business first. In order to understand the business law, we should have the composition of business and law. What do you understand by the term business? This is our first question to you. Let me tell you the definition of business here. Business refers to the exchange of goods and services in order to attain a certain amount of money in the form of profits. I hope the definition of business is clear to you. Now let us understand, what do you know about law? Law in business refers to the legal frameworks that governs all the commercial activities, such as contract law that regulates the agreement between the business people, employment law that governs the employer and employee relationship in any organization, and intellectual property law that protects inventions, trademarks, copyrights, patents, etc. I hope this PPT is absolutely clear to you. Now let us move to the next PPT, and there we will understand what is business regulatory framework is all about. Now, what is business law? This is very important to understand. This particular concept plays a vital role in every business, in every organization's life. The business regulatory framework refers to a set of laws, a set of rules and regulations which is absolutely established by the government or regulatory bodies to govern and guide our business activities, which are also known as commercial activities. So with reference to our last slide, what is business here? Business refers to the exchange of goods and services, and in order to run that business according to the rules and regulations, we need a law, and that comprises business law. I hope this PPT is clear to you. Let's move to the next slide. How does the subject connect to our daily life? This is really very important to understand, that how this business law connects with us. The law of contract is not only applicable to the business communities, but also to the others like you and me. You are a student and I am a teacher, but still we are into a contract here. Every one of us, like you and me, enters into a number of contracts almost on daily basis, and most of the time we do so that without even knowing. How does it come? Let us have a look into it. What we are doing with reference to the viewpoint of law. For example, a person occasionally, rarely realizes that when he or she entrusts his car to the mechanic for repair, he is unknowingly, I repeat, he is unknowingly entering into a contract. I hope the point is clear to you. This is an instance which will definitely make you clear what is business law. A person occasionally and rarely realizes that when he or she entrusts his car to the mechanic for a repair, he is unknowingly entering into a contract. Or the another example here is, when you buy a packet of bread, you are making a contract of sale of goods, or when you go to PVR theater to watch a movie. I hope you must have gone to PVR. So when you go to PVR to theater to watch a movie like, Bachchan Pandey or say Kedarnath, then you are making yet another contract and so on. So I hope the examples of business law is absolutely clear to you. Let us move to the next slide. So now we'll talk about Indian Contract Act 1872. The law of contract in India is contained in Indian Contract Act 1872. ये extend करता है the whole of India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and this particular law, this particular act in fact has been came into the force on 1st of September 1872, which is the very important point here to be noted. So please note down that this is very important. The 1st September 1872, the Indian Contract Act enacted on 1st September 1872. Now we'll talk about the meaning of Indian Contract Act 1872, which is very important to understand in order to get the fundamentals of Indian Contract Act 1872. So Indian Contract Act 1872 governs the legal agreement in India. Whatever the legal agreements you are doing in any business transaction, that is always governed by Indian Contract Act 1872. It always talks about, it always helps us, it always guides us about the contract principles. What are the number of principles available to make a contract? What are the essentials required to make a contract? What are the rights and obligations of a contracting party, those who are trying to involve themselves in the business transactions and agreements? So I hope this meaning is clear to you. The meaning is all about the Indian Contract Act 1872, which actually governs the legal agreements in specifically in India. It always talks about the contract principles, the essentials of a contract, and the fundamentals which are required to make a contract, to make a valid contract in fact. And this particular act also helps us to know what are the number of rights and obligations are available for contracting parties, those who are trying to involve themselves in the business transactions and agreements. So I hope with this note the slide is absolutely clear to you. So the first one, we have talked about the Indian Contract Act 1872, when this particular act has been came into the force, and where this particular act is applicable. And apart from that, we also had a discussion regarding the meaning of Indian Contract Act 1872. Now what is contract? This slide will definitely help you to understand the concept of contract here. What is contract? The contract is comprising of agreement plus enforceability. Now what is agreement here? What is enforceability here? Let us have a look into it. This is the second point here. Agreement. The composition of agreement is offer and acceptance. If there is an offer and the offer has been accepted by the party, that makes an agreement here. I hope the point is clear to you. And when the agreement and enforceability connects with each other, that makes a contract. How? Enforceability means legal obligations between the parties. If you refer my last slide, you will come to know what is enforceability in the definition of Indian Contract Act 1872, where I told you an agreement between the parties should be enforceable by law. So enforceability means legal obligations between the parties, legal intentions should be there between one or two parties, and there should be an agreement. So when the agreement is there, if the enforceability is there, then that makes a contract. I hope the point is clear to you. So example is there to to make you aware about it. Anisha offers to buy a mobile phone for rupees 50,000 from Bobby. I repeat, Anisha offers to buy a mobile phone for rupees 50,000 from Bobby, and Bobby accepts this offer. In this case, the offer after acceptance become a promise, and this promise is called as an agreement between Anisha and Bobby. If agreement is there, then that makes a contract, because this contract is enforceable by law, because the government of India allow us to do such type of contracts. I hope this slide is clear to you. Let us move to the next slide. So this particular slide has made you aware what is contract, how to form a contract, and what are the essential elements required to form a contract. Now let us understand the formation of a contract. How does a business person forms a contract? Let us have a look into it. The first and the foremost step in the formation of a contract is proposal. The second step is accepting the proposal. I repeat, the first and the foremost step in the formation of a contract is proposal. What is this proposal? The proposal is an offer. And the second step is accepting the proposal. It is acceptance, if the offer and acceptance is there, then that makes a contract. Let us have a look into it. So once the person accepts the proposal, let's say an offer, the status of that particular offer changes to accepted offer, or we can say accepted proposal, and then that accepted proposal becomes a promise. And therefore, the promise or a set of promises forms an agreement, and that agreement comes into a form of contract. Hence, I hope this particular line or this statement will definitely make you clear that is what is contract. A contract is an agreement which includes an offer, which is a proposal. An acceptance means accepting the proposal, and is enforceability, it's enforceability or say enforceable by law. So whatever the contract, whatever the agreement you people are doing, that should be enforceable by law. I hope this particular definition, this particular example, or the formation of a contract is absolutely clear to you. Let us move to the next slide to have more understanding about Indian Contract Act 1872. Till now, we have understood the concepts of Indian Contract Act, the definition of Indian Contract Act. Now, let us have a look into it. What are the essential components, or we can say elements of a contract? What are the essential ingredients required to form a contract? Let us have a look into it. The first point here is two or more parties. In order to form a contract, there should be two or more than two parties to enter into a contract. Number one. Number two, one party should make an offer. It means one party should make an offer means one party should offer something to the another person in exchange of something. Let us have a look into it. One party should make an offer and the another party should accept that. The third point is both the offer and the acceptance must coincide in relation to the same subject matter and context, which is called as same intentions. This is something which is very important to understand. Let us have a look into it. Both the parties, let's say Mr. A and Mr. B is entering into a contract. If these intentions of both the people are not same, if the intentions are not correct, if the intentions are not positive, if the intentions are not legal, then that contract will become a void contract. Please make a note of it. That contract will definitely become a void contract. We will definitely have a look into it. But yes, let us have a look into it. The third point, which is very important, and that is the same intentions should be there to form a contract. The third point, which is not the least, there must be a positive intention to enter into a legal relationship. I hope this slide is clear to you. So these are the essential elements to form a contract. Let us move to the next slide to make it more clear. Now this is the question time. Choose the correct option to fill in the blanks. For making an agreement, there must be two or more parties. One of the parties must make A/N dash to the another party. So kindly identify the right choice and then we'll meet you after some time.
Now quality learning is easily available at your doorstep. S. Chand Academy brings detailed lectures based on UGC curriculum as per the New Education Policy 2020. So do not forget to subscribe to the S. Chand Academy and access the wide world of knowledge conveniently sitting within the comfort of your home. Stay connected and keep watching S. Chand Academy. Happy learning!
Welcome back to S. Chand Academy. My name is Mohit Kapil. So let us talk about the last slide. So hope you remember this was the question time which we had a discussion. During the lecture, I'll let you know the answer of this particular question. So please stay connected with us. Let me repeat the question once again so that you can find the answer. For making an agreement, there must be two or more parties. Please remember, we were talking about the essentials of a valid contract here. And one of the parties must make what? And to the another party so that they can accept that. So I hope you may be able to find the answer, but yes, I'll let you know the answer during the lecture. So stay connected with us. Let us move to the next slide. Okay, now let us understand what is the nature of a contract. In business law, in business regulatory framework, a contract is legally binding agreement between two or more parties that establishes rights and obligations for the parties, those who are absolutely involved in it with the same intentions, with the legal intentions. Let us have a look into it. What is this enforceability here? I told you in the last video, enforceability means legality of that particular contract. So legality means enforceability by law. A contract is legally binding agreement. It means often an acceptance between the two or more parties that establishes rights and obligations for the parties involved in it with the same and positive intentions. I repeat, with the same positive and legal intentions. So it is a fundamental tool for every business organization. Let's say if we talk about the example of TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, if we take an example of KPMG, if we take an example of a shopkeeper, they always follow this particular thing, that is contract. It is a fundamental tool that is widely used in commerce and furnishes a framework for conducting business transactions. Like with reference to my last slide, we have already gone through this particular sentence in the another way, but yes, this particular contract, this particular thing is very important to understand, because this is a fundamental tool which is widely used in any of the type of organization just to have a framework so that they can conduct their business transactions. I hope the nature of contract is clear to you, and please make a note of it. Without without understanding of this particular topic, you may not be able to understand the next topic. So please stay connected with us. Let us have the next slide here. Now I'll talk about what is the nature of a contract. How does it look like? How do people connect with each other by having a contract? A contract is always a legally binding agreement in business law, or we can say business regulatory framework. Please make a note of it. A contract is always a legally binding agreement. Number two, it establishes rights, obligations and expectations for the parties, those who are involved in it. Let's say if Mr. X and Mr. Y is involved in any contract, then that particular contract establishes their rights, their obligations to do something into that contract in some in terms of consideration and expectations from both the parties. Number third point is, which is very important here, and that is contracts requires mutual consent. It means free consent, an agreement between the parties. If Mr. A and Mr. B is entering into a contract, let's for example, if I am going to buy a piece of bread to a shop, and if the shopkeeper is giving that piece of bread to me in exchange of something, and what is that exchange? That is money. If we are contracting with each other in the same intentions, then that forms a contract here. Number fourth point is, contract involves an offer which must be made by one party and the acceptance by the other party. Please refer my example, the last example which I have just referred, to make you aware, to make you understand the contract. Number fifth point is, contract also involves consideration, which means something to exchange. What do we need to exchange something? We always need monetary values. We always need psychological satisfactions. Let's take an example. If an NGO is working, in the business market, then they need psychological satisfactions in terms of consideration to have a contract. Next point is, contracts must have a lawful purpose and comply with applicable laws. I have an interesting example here. If I would go to sell drugs which are not legal in the market, do you really believe that is a lawful purpose? No, absolutely not. This is an unlawful purpose, and unlawful purpose leads to unenforceability of the law, and that cannot make a contract. So please make a note of it. Contracts, whatever the contract people are doing, they must have a lawful purpose and they should comply with the applicable laws by the Government of India, by any other governing body. The next point is the competent parties. Those who are involved in a contract, they must be competent. They should not be unsound mind. They should not lack into contractual capacities. So competent parties with the intent to create legal obligations are always involved into a contract. Please make a note of it. The next point, which is the nature of a contract, they provide a framework for resolving disputes and seeking remedies. Why do we have, this particular, why we are talking about this subject? How does it connect with us? The only important point here is, and that is, they provide a framework. When we talk about business law, that helps us to understand how can we resolve a dispute within the organization or outside the organization, and how can we seek remedies. So business laws are always there to help us, to guide us so that we can provide remedies to the people over there. Next point is breach of a contract. Please make a note of it. The breach of a contract is a very important term here, and I'll let you know in the next slide. Breach of a contract can lead to legal consequences such as damages. So let us take an example of breach of contract here. Let me repeat once again so that you can get the answer. Breach of contract. Breach. Can you please just give an emphasis on this particular word? Can you guess what does it mean? Let us have a look into it. Breach of a contract can lead to legal consequences. I hope you must know the meaning of consequences such as damages. Let us have an example to make it clear. Breach of contract. Before moving to an example, let us understand what is breach of contract. When one party out of those two parties, those who always frame a contract, when one party refuses to perform the terms and conditions of a contract, when one party refuses to perform a contract, that leads to a breach of contract. Though there are types of breach of contract, but yes, I am here to tell you the meaning of breach of contract only so that we can understand the nature of a contract. Let us take an example. If the company A failed to deliver the goods and services to company B, then the company A is violating the terms and conditions of a contract. If the company AZ is violating the terms and conditions of a contract, then that can be known as breach of a contract, because company A has refused to perform the contract. Company A has refused to perform all the terms and conditions of a contract between the company A and company B, because company A was liable to perform that contract, to perform all the terms and conditions within the time frame, but company A failed that. So therefore, violating upon that particular contract or violating upon those terms and conditions between those two companies leads to breach of a contract. This particular topic is very important in order to understand the nature of a contract. Let us move to the next slide. The last point here, which will definitely make you clear what is the exact nature of a contract. The contract plays a vital role in conducting all the business transactions, and they ensure legal protection for all the parties involved in it. Whether you are performing sole proprietorship, or you are into partnership or joint Hindu family business, or you are running a cooperative organization, or whatever the type of business organization you people have been owing or working, you will definitely get benefit by understanding this particular topic. In practical life, all the business organization wants to protect themselves. So in order to protect them, the nature of contract, the term contract helps to them. So, contract plays a vital role in conducting business transactions and ensures legal protection for all parties, those who are involved in it. So, before ending this lecture, let us have the answer of this question. I hope this must be exciting to you. So, for making an agreement, there must be two or more parties, and one of the parties make an offer. So, the correct answer is offer here. Offer. So, to make an agreement, there must be two or more parties should be involved in it, and one of the parties should make an offer to the another party so that they can have a valid contract. Okay, now so we have come to the end of this lecture. So what we have discussed about what is business regulatory framework, which is also known as business law or mercantile law. We have specifically discussed about what is business and what is law, and then we have combined these two terms to get the clear more understanding about business law. We had a detailed discussion about the Indian Contract Act 1872. We studied about the meaning and definition of Indian Contract Act 1872. We also got to know when did it established and the nature of a contract.
If you want to study this topic in detail, refer to the book by S. Chand Publishing and Vikas Publishing House. Link is provided in the description box. If you found our video interesting, please like, share and subscribe. And do not forget to press the bell icon.
All rights reserved. This video has been prepared for educational purposes only. No part of it may be reproduced or copied without the permission of the copyright holder.